had sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe out of the silence. The roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe out of the silence. The roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, yours is the victory. Hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. I can see the promised land, though there's pain within the plan. There is victory in the end. Your love is my battle cry. When my fears like Jericho build their walls around my soul, when my heart is overthrown, your love is my battle cry, the anthem for all my life. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past you've broken into. Over fear, over lies, we're singing the truth that nothing is impossible with you. There is hope within the fight, in the wars that rage inside. Though the shadows steal the night, your love is my battle cry, the anthem for all my life. my soul sings out as your word throws doubt far away. I sing to you and my heart cries holy hallelujah. Father, you're near. My hope is in you, Lord, all the day long. I won't be shaken by drought or storm. A peace that passes understanding is my song, and I sing, my hope is in you alone. I wait for you, and my soul finds rest. In my selfishness, you show me grace. I worship you, and my heart cries glory, hallelujah. Father, you're here. My hope is in you, Lord, all the day long. I won't be shaken by drought or storm. A peace that passes understanding is my song, and I sing, my hope is in you alone. I will wait on you. You are my refuge. I will wait on you. You are my refuge. My hope is in you, Lord, all the day long. I won't be shaken by drought or storm. My hope is in you, Lord, all the day long. I won't be shaken by drought or storm. A peace that passes understanding is my song, and I sing, my hope is in you alone. My hope is in you alone. My hope is in you alone. Are you hurting and broken within? Overwhelmed by the weight of your sin? Jesus is calling. Have you come to the end of yourself? Do you thirst for a drink from the well? Jesus is calling. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Leave behind your regrets and mistakes. Come today, there's no reason to wait. Jesus is calling. Bring your sorrows and trade them for joy. From the ashes a new life is born. Jesus is calling. chasm that lay between us. How high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to bear my sin and bear my shame. The cross has spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Then came the morning as can see the promised land. Though there's pain within the plan, there is victory in the end. Your love is my battle cry. When my fears like Jericho build their walls around my soul, when my heart is overthrown, your love is my battle cry, the anthem for all my life. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past you've broken into. Over fear, over lies, we're singing the truth that nothing is impossible with you. There is hope within the fight, in the wars that rage inside. Though the shadows steal the light, your love is my battle cry, the anthem for all my life. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past broken into. Over fear, over lies, we're singing the truth that nothing is impossible. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past you've broken into. Over fear, over lies, we're singing the truth that nothing is impossible with you. No greater name, no higher name, no stronger name than Jesus. You overcame, broke every chain, forever reign. King Jesus, no greater name, no higher name, no stronger name than Jesus. You overcame, broke every chain, forever reign. King Jesus. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past you've broken into. Over fear, over lies, we're singing the truth that nothing is impossible. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past you've broken into. Over fear, over lies, we're singing the truth that nothing is impossible with you. I meet with you and my soul sings out as your word throws doubt far away. I sing to you and my heart cries holy hallelujah. Father, you're near. My hope is in you, Lord, all the day long. I won't be shaken by drought or storm. A peace that passes understanding is my song, and I sing, my hope is in you alone. I wait for you, and my soul finds rest in my Savior. Jesus is calling. Have you come to the end of yourself? Do you thirst for a drink from the well? Jesus is calling. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Leave behind your regrets and mistakes. Come today, there's no reason to wait. Jesus is calling. Bring your sorrows and trade them for joy. From the ashes a new life is born. Jesus is calling. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Oh, come to the altar. The Father's arms are open wide. Forgiveness. How great the chasm that lay between us. How high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. The cross has spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah, death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's land. Though there's pain within the plan, there is victory in the end. Your love is my battle cry. When my fears like Jericho build their walls around my soul, when my heart is overthrown, your love is my battle cry, the anthem for all my life. Every giant will fall, the mountains will move, every chain of the past you've broken into. All the fear over lies, we're singing the truth that nothing is impossible with you. As your word flows out far away, I sing to you and my heart cries holy hallelujah. Father, you're near. My hope is in you, Lord, all the day long. I won't be shaken by drought or storm. A peace that passes understanding is my song, and I sing. My hope is me grace. I worship you, and my heart cries glory. Hallelujah, Father, you're here. My hope is in you, Lord, all the day long. I won't be shaken by drought or storm. A peace that passes understanding is my song, and I sing, my hope is in you alone. I will wait on you. You are my
Good morning. Welcome to West Portal Virtual Church, if you will. For those of you that maybe don't know, my name is Andrew. I have the privilege of being one of the pastors who have the opportunity to serve here. I have to tell you, in a season with this much uncertainty, I find myself continually thankful for technology that allows us to gather together, albeit differently, to worship and to hear from God's word. And this is what we want to be on about. This is who we are and what we're passionate about here at West Portal. People who follow Jesus, who love Jesus, and who want to share that love practically and with those around us. Listen, I need you to just know this morning we are live streaming from multiple platforms, Facebook, YouTube, as well as our website. I understand that we've had some upload issues on a few of these platforms this morning, and I simply want to let you know if for any reason you're watching a feed that's less than great, the best opportunity right now and the cleanest feed is probably found on our website, www.westportalchurch.ca. If you need to, feel free to log out and find us again on that platform. One of the great things about virtual church is you no longer have to walk into our doors, into our building, if you will, to connect with us. And so I don't know where you might be tuning in from this morning. I just want to say a heartfelt, we're glad you joined us. One of the downsides, of course, of you not walking into our facility is we've lost the ability to reach out kind of and welcome you here, to shake your hand, if you will, for those that might be newer or checking us out, and as a way of extending a virtual handshake, if you will, in your direction. If you are newer to West Portal, if you've maybe just been checking us out over the last few weeks as we've gone online, there will be opportunity several times over the course of our morning for you to text the word coffee to a number that will appear at the bottom of your screen. Consider this our virtual handshake offered in your direction. We would love to offer you a $5 Starbucks gift card simply as a thank you for connecting with us. If you are curious to know a little bit more about who we are, what we're about, perhaps what we believe, you can find some of this on our website. Again, www.westportalchurch.ca. If you have questions beyond that, you can feel free to reach out to me personally. My email is andrew@westportalchurch.ca. Either way, we're glad you've joined us and would look forward to any opportunity we have to connect with you. For those of you who are a part of our regular faith family, I just want to remind you that there are a number of companion pieces, if you will, to our teaching time this morning, available for you on our website. We have teaching notes. There's a conversation, kind of a Q&A guide that you can continue with this. There are some additional resources specific to this morning's topic. I'll talk about them later on. I simply want to say we make these available because we don't teach just so that we can know more about Jesus. We teach so that we can live more like Jesus. And we feel this happens best as the conversation that we start here on Sunday morning is continued in your homes and with your friends throughout the week. And we hope these resources in a small way help contribute towards that. For those of you that are invested and engaged with us here at West Portal, I just want to say a heartfelt thank you for your ongoing financial support. We couldn't be continuing this ministry without you. For those of you that might like to consider partnering with us in this way, I'd simply say the easiest way to do that at this time, we have a giving app available on our website. It's probably the simplest way you can partner with us in that regard. Lastly, as we kind of prepare to get underway this morning, I just want to acknowledge many of you are aware that phase 3 of our slowly reopening Saskatchewan economy kicks off, I believe, tomorrow. There is a provision in this that allows for churches to begin to consider regathering. There are a lot of moving parts with this particular provision. There's a lot of fine print as well, but I want you to know that we have begun having very serious conversations about exploring options and scenarios of what it might look like for us to consider gathering together again as a West Portal faith family. I have to tell you this is going to be a gradual process, but if you are curious to find out a little bit more about the conversation we're having, how it's being formed and shaped, you can check out, I have a video update available. We posted it Friday. You should be able to find it on our Facebook page as well as our website. And I think over the course of the next few weeks, I'll attempt to be more consistent in providing video updates so that you feel a part of this ongoing conversation. I won't lie, I think the longer this process continues, there's a sense of disappointment for sure that starts to seep into our pores. I will tell you, I am at the very least excited for any opportunity, however small, where we can begin to encourage any kind of relational connection again. I think most of us are missing just that sense of community more than anything else. And so you'll hear more from us along those lines. Listen, once again, we're glad you've tuned in this morning, and we're looking forward to continuing our conversation about what it means to live simpler lives. Lives with greater purpose, lives with greater courage, perhaps, lives with greater focus, all for the honor and the glory of God. One of my great laments during this particular season of quarantine and isolation, I don't know what you're lamenting, but one of mine is the absence of good sporting events to watch on television. And this is normally such a great time of year. We should be on the cusp of the Stanley Cup Finals. This is the time of the year that the Raptors were winning their championship last year. The CFL should be a week or two away from kicking off a new season, and the Boys of Summer should be about 2 months into their season as well. At this point in time, we'd normally have an idea of whether the Blue Jays are something we can get excited about this year or not. I understand baseball is not as popular here in Canada as it is in the U.S., so if I were to mention the name Tony Gwynn, I suspect many of you would not know who this is. Tony Gwynn, who passed away in 2014 at the age of 54, is arguably the premier hitter of this last era. In fact, you could make a compelling case. He is the best hitter of the last 50 years, 1950 to 2000. Tony Gwynn had a lifetime batting average of .338. He sustained that over 20 seasons. The only season he did not hit 300, and this is a benchmark in Major League Baseball, was his rookie year. He won 8 batting titles. He racked up over 3,100 hits in his career. In fact, one of the most jaw-dropping statistics I stumbled across this week is over 6 consecutive seasons, 8 total, he struck out less than 20 times. That's astonishing. If you were to have met Tony on the street, however, and didn't know who he was, I suspect you would not have reached the conclusion that he was a baseball star. Truthfully, at 5'11", 220 pounds, he just didn't have the physique of a prototypical athlete. He didn't have the bulging biceps that might have screamed home run power. He didn't have the lithe athleticism that might have led you to conclude that he was a base-stealing great. He just understood that the most consistent way to help his team generate runs was to chunk out base hit after base hit after base hit. And nobody in his era did it better. The question I want to pose to you is this: what made Tony Gwynn so good at hitting? And if I had to sum it up in a word this morning, I think I would say focus. Hitting wasn't just Tony's profession, it was his passion. He lived in a climate that allowed him to practice year-round. He was known to show up at social events with a batting glove sticking out of his back pocket, having stopped on the way to hit a few. He intentionally spent his entire season with his entire career with the San Diego Padres because he knew media coverage was less, and this would provide less distractions for him as a hitter. Not only was Tony passionate about hitting, he was a student of that art. Several times each year, he would read The Science of Hitting, a book by Ted Williams, a book he first discovered when he was in college. When he wasn't reading that book, he was probably watching videotape, a fairly new technology in his generation, if you will. Tony had a library of videotapes continually fed by his 5 VCRs connected to satellite dish. When the San Diego Padres, the team he was a part of, finally broke down and built their first video room for the club, the equipment was so mediocre, Tony sprang an additional $85,000 out of his own pocket to upgrade the equipment. Tony had videotapes compiled for him of every pitch, of every at-bat, in every stadium that he would play. If he got a hit, he never watched the footage. But if he made an out, he would study it religiously. Not just to evaluate the mechanics of his swing, but to watch the chess match mentally between he and the opposing pitcher. How were people trying to get him out? Friends, I have to tell you, that's focus. If I had to describe it this way, I might say focus is a combination of two things. I think it's a combination of efficiency, doing things right, and effectiveness, doing the right things. I think Tony was effective. He understood who he was and who he would never be, so he didn't focus his time and energy on trying to hit more home runs or steal more bases. He knew that hitting was what he could do well. He was effective, but he was also efficient. He was a student of the game. He practiced relentlessly. He was efficient. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's one thing to talk about focus in this way, in a field like athletics or perhaps in regards to a career, musicianship. It's quite another to talk about it in regards to our lives in general. And if I was to make an observation, I would say I think that for many of us, efficiency and effectiveness in our lives are often further apart than we would care to admit. And I think most often we hear this in the regrets, in the lament of people. You hear this when a parent laments that in later years they find themselves estranged from their children. Here's the question: were they efficient parents? They may well have been. Kids are well fed. Kids are, homework is done on time. They're in bed regularly. They got dropped off at all of their practices. But did it come at the expense of something that mattered more, the relationship? I think you hear this in the regret of people who have lost a marriage due to time spent and energy invested in a career choice. Were they efficient? Top of their class. Were they effective? Well, this depends on what matters most to you. I think you hear this in the lament and the regret of people in the latter years of their lives as they sometimes wrestle with time they wish they'd invested differently, money they wish they'd spent differently, places they wish they'd gone, people they wish they had connected with. We hear this in our regrets and in our laments, I think many times in our lives. Doing things right, doing them well, but doing the right things, having a clear sense of what's most important in this life, are often further apart than we would care to admit. This is what we want to talk a little bit about this morning. If you have your Bibles, Philippians chapter 3 is where we're going. Philippians is an ancient letter that we have. It was written by the Apostle Paul. It's written to a small church in the city of Philippi. It's a church that actually he had a hand in planting several years earlier. But Paul finds himself in prison at this time, of course, for preaching and talking about Jesus. And during his time in prison, he writes a letter to encourage and to warn, if you will. There's a corrective piece in this letter that he sends to this church that's on his heart. And I want to read a little bit from Philippians chapter 3 this morning. I'm picking up at verse 12. I'm going to read a few verses at a time. We'll talk about it in between. By the way, just a quick disclaimer here. I'm reading this morning from Eugene Peterson's well-known contemporary paraphrase of the Bible called The Message. And so if it differs from your translation, you'll know why. But we'll have it on screen for you here also. Let's pick up. Paul writes, "I'm not saying that I have this all together, that I have it made, but I am well on my way, reaching out for Christ who has so wondrously reached out for me. Friends, don't get me wrong. By no means do I count myself an expert in all of this, but I've got my eye on the goal where God is beckoning us onward to Jesus. I'm often running, and I am not turning back. So let's keep focused on that goal. Those of us who want everything God has for us. If any of you have something else in mind, something less than total commitment, God will clear your blurred vision. You'll see it yet. Now that we're on the right track, let's stay on it. Paul reminds his readers that while coming to know Jesus may be a one-time event, following Jesus, maturing and growing in our faith, having our lives shaped so that they start to look more like Jesus, is a lifelong process. It doesn't happen overnight, it's not quick, and it demands focus. In fact, Paul uses an analogy that reminds me a little bit of my elementary school years, if I can go back that far. I had an opportunity back then to be a part of the track team, and in addition to some long distance running, I also ran on the relay team. I don't know if you're aware of this. A relay race is generally a race that's run with 4 teammates. Each teammate has a section of the race that they need to run, and whichever team finishes all their sections of the race first are the winners. The catch, of course, is that each runner must finish their leg of the race with a baton in hand that they have to pass to the next runner in order for him to then finish his leg of the race. Now, the first time I ran a relay race, I suspect what every kid does. I waited until that baton had been passed to me, and then I started running. And of course, this is a very slow transition. It costs teams their race. And the coach had to tell me that strategically, the best thing to do is to start running before that runner gets to me, so I'm still picking up speed as that baton is placed in my hand. And I tried it, and I dropped the baton. Here's the problem. The temptation is you want to look at something I'm supposed to grab. But it's really hard to run in this direction if I'm looking down here. I'll run out of my lane. I can run into other runners. I can trip over my own feet. Again, it makes for a very sloppy handoff. Learning to do this well is a lot harder than runners make it look. And it takes focus. Learning to keep your eye on where you need to go while this transition happens. And Paul suggests that this is not untrue when it comes to our spiritual lives as well. That growing and maturing in our faith is something that's going to demand a clear and consistent gaze on our part at the goal, at where we need to be going, and we need a clear sense of focus in that direction. Let's continue. Stick with me, friends. Keep track of those you see running this same course, headed for this same goal. There are many out there taking other paths, choosing other goals, and trying to get you to go along with them. I have warned you of them many times, and sadly, I'm having to do it again. All they want is easy street. They hate Christ's cross. But easy street is a dead-end street. Those who live there make their bellies their gods. Belches are their praise. All they can think of is their appetites. They hate Christ's cross. It's a powerful way of, I think, of saying they don't like the challenge. The way of following Jesus is not the easy way. Most of us love playing a sport more than we ever love practicing it. Most of us would prefer to play an instrument than to practice it. There's something about practice that just isn't a lot of fun. It takes a degree of disciplined activity. I was thinking back when I was in high school, one of the sports I loved playing was floor hockey. And my grade 9 year, our school actually formed a team. Most of our team was made up of grade 9 boys, and unfortunately playing against other high schools and in a few tournaments against adults, we just got bullied and pushed around. We lost